Hi, my name is Zephyr Wildman. I'm going to offer you some practice tips for headstand. Recently, I've been watching a lot on social media, a lot of people doing headstand challenges. And there's some alignment techniques that I've been really concerned about, but also this kind of sense of objectifying our practice. So I wanted to just give you a few little tools and tips and also just modifications or variations to be able to do headstand more effectively and actually safely. So from my experience, I have hypermobility and I've been practicing headstand for 21 years kind of consistently, but I took about a 10 to 12 year break. In the beginning, when I was doing headstand, I was really excited about it because it was called the King of Asana and it had all these amazing benefits. And I felt really cool. I felt really kind of like, I got this. I'm a yogi, being able to do headstand. However, in the first few years I was doing it, I was noticing certain symptoms after doing it. So certain tinnitus ringing in the ears, vertigo where I felt really dizzy, headaches, really bad headaches. I felt sick and nauseous. And also it disturbed my eyes, like my eye focus. So it was all kind of linked to certain symptoms that I just started to, the more and more I started to understand my own hypermobility, my own physical body, and my own practice intuitively, I started pulling it out of practice. And a few of my teachers suggested different variations, which I'm going to share with you. So one of the things that I have found in myself is that because of my hypermobility, my ligaments are very loose, my tendons are loose. That means that I just have a huge amount of muscular engagement to actually hold my joints together. So my cervical spine is very, very small, and when I put weight on it, there's a lot of movement. If I make any sudden movements or any slight movements, there is movement in my cervical spine, especially around C1 and C2. On myself, when I weight bear, there's a lot of movement. And in that area is a main nerve line, blood line. And so if you move your head in any way, you can actually pinch those blood lines and restrict the flow of information or of life force. So what I've been finding in myself, but I also, what I've been finding in my community with other hypermobile people, is that there's a lot of movement. And there's more and more cases now as we're studying as yoga therapists and kind of yoga anatomy nerds. There's a lot of spinal stenosis happening in the cervical spine where there's creating bone spurs because of the friction of weight bearing and slight movement. There's been bone-on-bone contact creating little bone spurs and mainly restricting the spinal cord. So the spinal cord reduces and you have to have surgery to actually alleviate that. There's also a condition where when you weight bear and if you're not working the deep anterior neck flexors and the multifidi muscles, which are spinal stabilizers, that these vertebrae can actually shift. And when they shift, they can fracture the facet joints and or break them. And it's like spondylolisthesis, spondylosis, and where you can actually, to a point, fracture your spine and create paralysis and or other variations of. So I wanted to just give you some other variations because not everybody can do headstand and it's not safe for everybody. There's a small percentage, great, you do it, you have fun with it, enjoy it. But majority of us human beings are not designed to stand on our head. But I want to give you some just teaching tips to be able to do other variations to empower you to experience that inverted experience, but also the constellation of sensation that we're meant to feel in headstand. So the first teaching tip I want to actually offer you is an alignment technique that used to be taught all the time, and biomechanically we're now teaching it a different way. So what used to be taught was interlace your hands, place your head on the floor, and then come up into down dog weight bearing. Now, if you think about it, your cervical spine is meant to bear weight in a C shape. Mine is actually a military neck. So mine's a flat cervical spine, and I went to one of my trusted chiropractors who I refer all my clients to, and he was able to take an x-ray and say, Zephyr, you shouldn't be doing headstand because your vertebra can't actually weight bear properly to distribute that weight evenly through your spine. So it was like, oh, I intuitively know how to take care of my body. So for that position, for me, as I put my head down and reverse the cervical spine and then put weight, I'm actually forcing the soft connective tissue, the discs, into the back of the neck, which is where all the nerves run out of, and I compress the front of the spine where the bones then start to restrict and degenerate the discs. So what I would suggest is actually come into headstand, if you were practicing headstand, this way. So as your elbows are underneath your shoulders, you interlace your hands, you press your forearms into the floor, coming into a form down dog. You walk forward and hover your head between your hands, creating that little cervical spine curve, and then come up weight bearing. Instead of coming forward, place your head, reverse the cervical spine, and then load it. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can try and test that out and see which one feels better. If you are not choosing to do headstand, this is another variation, because actually headstand is really good for the little facet joints in the skull. You know, they're not movable joints, but to create pressure actually creates pressure on the dura mater in the brain, and you awaken to this euphoric feeling after headstand. So I'm going to show it to you. You'll need a block, and ideally, your hairline is about here. You'll run your hand over your hairline and you'll feel the first mountain. Then you will feel a valley, and then you'll feel a second mountain. This little valley is where your fontanelle when you're a baby, where that little hole in the head is. That is where you're meant to be placing your head stand. So I want you to take a block and feel that. So the flat surface of the block, you can feel the first mountain, you can feel the second mountain, and in between is that valley, and that's where you're meant to be putting your headstand, so you can maintain that cervical spine as you place your head and weight there. It's not on the crown of the head, and it's not on your forehead, because you want to maintain that curve. So in this position, I'm going to ask you to embody the sumo wrestler. Feet wide, bend the knees, bring one hand to the wall, and place the brick against the wall, and feel that valley. You might need to do yes, and then bring your hands to your hips, elbows point up, roll the shoulders back and down. Now, you can walk your feet a little bit farther away to create more weight going into your head, but you want to press your head into the wall, activating the spinal stabilizers. Draw the shoulders away, knit together your abdominals, and zip up that zipper. Now, as you bring your elbows back, instead of rounding forward, elbows back, open the chest. Now breathe wide, inhale. And as you exhale, so you're pressing your head into the wall, and your body is almost parallel. You're breathing, gazing, quiet in your mind. And as you connect to the breath, connect to the sensation of the crown of the head, imagine you're standing on your head. And about 5 to 20 breaths, depending on how long you want to practice. But then you grab the brick with your hands, press up, come to stand, feet hip distance apart. Close your eyes and feel the residue of headstand. You'll feel this sense of enlivened presence in the head, spaciousness, sensation, release of tension behind the eyes, and this kind of euphoric sensation that headstand should provide. So I really love that one, because you get to have little yogic highs. The next variation of headstand is a headless headstand, and you're going to need some cork bricks, preferably cork bricks, but if you have wooden blocks, you can use that too. So you place one where you can actually have some space for your hands away from the wall, and then you place 3 to 4 bricks on top, and this will support your spine. You need to place it against the wall, so as you press your back against the wall, it's supported. And so what you're going to do is come onto your hands and knees, interlace your hands. You're going to press your forearms into the floor, come into form down dog, and then slowly walk
your body against the bricks. Press your forearms into the floor. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. And then as you lift one leg, you're going to just hop up, and you can place the feet to the wall, or if you're strong enough, you can actually bring your feet away. Your head is off the floor. You press your elbows and wrists and forearms into the floor. And you breathe, drawing your back against the bricks. And then you come down, and then bend the knees, and you can rest. And
feel the residue of headless headstand. Another variation of headless headstand. Normally in Niagara they use chairs. And if you don't have chairs, you just have bricks. This is another variation, which is quite fun. I wouldn't recommend it for people who have thoracic outlet syndrome, where the pressure of the main nerves and blood flow around the collarbone is quite restricted already because of big pecs. But see how you feel. So you take bricks high enough where you can suspend your head, so your head's not going to be on the floor. You come up to the bricks, and you place your head in between, and then come up into Uttanasana. Rest your shoulders halfway up the bricks. Place your hands at the end of the bricks. Push your hands into the floor. Lift one leg, and then you lift the other. And you can bring your bum to the wall. You can bring your bum away, and you balance, releasing the head and neck, and breathe. And feeling the inversion. And then you're going to slowly come down, and you can rest your forearms and rest your head against the bricks. And so those are my variations that I can offer you if you want to start practicing an inversion of headstand, but don't like the symptoms of traditional headstand. These might work for you. So I really hope that helps, and I enjoy your practices. Thank you very much for listening.